Hi, everyone, and welcome to Brian's Horror Corner. I'm your host, Brian, and welcome to this classic Twilight Zone series review video. Today, we're going to be taking a look at season three of the classic Twilight Zone series that I have all five seasons on Blu-ray here, as you can see. Um, I went ahead and reviewed the first two seasons. Those videos should be up on my channel if you want to check them out. But today, it's all about season three. So, couple things to say in general about season three. A couple changes. The opening theme song. I don't think the theme is different, but like the images are different. It's got the big spiral, black and white. I don't know what you call it, like top or whatever, but it's got the same. Pretty sure the theme song it's or the theme music is the same. And also they put the title at the beginning of each episode, which I don't think they did in season two. I might be wrong about that, but I just noticed it a lot in season three. So, and then the other big thing is there's 37 episodes in this season. There were 36 in season one. There was 29. It dropped to 29 in season two, and now back up to 37 for season three, which I think is the most episodes of any season, if I'm not mistaken. I think season five has about 36 or 37, so somewhere around there, but I don't think it has any more than that. But yeah, season three of the classic Twilight Zone series here. Let's just go ahead and get into it. The same setup as far as giving you my most overrated episode of the season, my most underrated episode of the season, and then my top five with an honorable mention, and my bottom three with a dishonorable mention. I could say that out of 37 episodes, if I were doing a marathon and just wanted to watch the whole season, there's about 28 that I would put on. So the percentage isn't quite as high as it was in season one or season two, where I think season one was like 32 or 33 out of 36, and season two was like 24, 25 out of 29. So this is 28 out of 37. And as I rewatched this season, it seems like a really long season. There's obviously 37 episodes, but just I don't know. This season just seemed longer, and I think it's probably because there's still a lot of really good episodes and all-time great episodes, but you also have more like just okay episodes compared to season one, which is about the same amount of episodes. So either way, it's still a really good season of the Twilight Zone that I still really enjoy. 28 out of 37. So there's about nine episodes that I'd probably skip most of the time if I were watching the season. So we'll go ahead and start out with what I think is the most overrated episode. And just like the first two seasons, I'm sure I'll take some flack for this, but I'm only saying overrated in terms of a lot of people having it as an all-time classic. It's still a really good episode, but it's an episode that doesn't have a high rewatchable value after you know the twist the first time, and that is episode 14 from season three that aired on December 22nd, 1961, and that is the episode Five Characters in Search of an Exit. This is the one about about an army major, a clown, a hobo, a ballerina, and a bagpipe player that finds themselves in a cylinder with no memory of how they got there. And the twist is really cool at the end. The first time you see it, it's you definitely don't see it coming. But as I said, the everything leading up to the twist is just kind of there's some dialogue there and a little bit overacting in my opinion. I don't know. I just don't think it's an all-time great. It's a really good episode. Certainly one of the better episodes of episode three or of season three. So I'm not saying anything derogatory there, but it's overrated in the sense that I have heard a lot of people putting this like in their top 10, and it just isn't for me. If it is for them, that's great. Each their own. But for me, that's my most overrated episode of season three. Most underrated episode is going to be early in the season. That's episode five that aired on October 13th, 1961, and that's entitled "A Game of Pool." This is the one about the pool player, the legendary pool player Jonathan Winters, who returns from the dead to meet the challenge of a pool shark, played by Jack Klugman, with the shark's life at stake. So high stakes pool game basically. And this one has really good dialogue, really good acting by both the actors, and the ending's also great. Kind of a be careful what you wish for, and becoming a legend isn't all it's cracked up to be. There's some There's some downsides to it, maybe. I just really enjoyed the ending, and especially Rod Serling's wrap up, closing narration there. This is just a great overall episode. Very great Twilight Zone episode. A game of pool, written by George Clayton Johnson. Five characters in search of an exit was actually not written by anyone. It was based on a short story by Marvin Pital. Teleplay was by Rod Serling. So just kind of throw that out there. So those are my most overrated and underrated episodes. So now we'll get into the season, starting with what I consider the three worst or three my least favorite episodes of the season. Starting with my dishonorable mention. And I might take a little flack for this. I'm not sure how other people feel about it. I know some people like it. But it's going to be episode 13 that aired on December 15th, 1961, written by Richard Matheson, who I like as a writer. Once Upon a Time. So this is the one about the janitor, played by Buster Keaton, who travels from 1890 to 1962, courtesy of a time travel helmet built by a scientist. Um, yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of bored by this episode. That's why it's my dishonorable mention. Now, it is my dishonorable mention, so it's not one of the worst, in my opinion, of season three, but it just really didn't do much for me. I understand that Buster Keaton is legend as far as silent films go, and, this was obviously later on in his life, in his career. Um, but I don't know. The episode itself just wasn't it just really didn't do that much for it. I kind of found myself messing around on my phone and not really watching it. Just kind of bored by it. So that's my dishonorable mention. Now we get into my bottom three of the season, and coming in at number three is going to be an episode from later in the season. That's episode 29 that aired on April 6th, 1962, entitled 4 O'Clock. This was based on a short story by Price Day, teleplay by Rod Serling. This is the one about the fantastical one man moral crusader, played by Theodore Bickel, decides to shrink those he deems to be evil of a height to 2 feet at 4 o'clock, which just on the surface sounds kind of silly. And then, even though I think he gives a pretty good performance, Theodore Bickel, not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. But I don't know. The episode's just kind of predictable. And of course, at 4 o'clock, you can kind of see what's going to happen about 10 minutes into the episode. Um, it's just, I don't know. It's kind of over the top and it's just kind of silly. And it's not very Twilight Zoney to me. I just really didn't enjoy it. So that's 4 o'clock at number third worst. Number two, um, my second least favorite from the season. I'm going to go with episode 11 that aired on November 24th, 1961, based on another short story by Manly Wade Wellerman, teleplay by Rod Serling. That's Still Valley. Um, this is just an odd episode. It's during the Civil War where Confederate scout enters a town to find Yankee soldiers frozen in place. And basically, they try to combine magic and war. And I don't know. I just wasn't really buying it. It wasn't. Just wasn't working for me. Again, it was one that I was kind of taken aback, taken out of to a certain extent. Just really didn't enjoy it. But number one, the worst episode in my opinion of season three, or the one my least favorite, has got to be the second to the last episode of the season, Cavender Is Coming, which aired on May 25th, 1962, written by Rod Serling, about a clumsy theater worker played by Carol Burnett who meets an equally bumbling guardian angel played by Jesse White. This is supposed to be a light, funny episode, and it's just kind of awkward and just not funny at all to me. And I think they actually were going to they tried to use this episode as a caveat to launch a series based on this episode, which obviously didn't happen. So yeah, I don't think I'm the only one that disliked it, but yeah, Cavender Is Coming. That'll be in contention for one of the absolute worst at the end of the month, or when I do my top 10 and bottom five of the whole series. Just not a very good episode. So now on to bigger and better things. I'll get into my top five, including my honorable mention for season three. And my honorable mention is an episode I just recently watched for this video towards the end of the season, and that's Little Girl Lost, episode 26 that aired on March 16th, 1962, written once again by the great Richard Matheson, who seemed to write the best episodes. Um, Yeah, this is a pretty iconic episode. This is about the little girl who disappears from her bedroom without a trace, and her parents call her psych uh, psych. Why can't I not pronounce this word now? Not psychologist, psychiatrist, psychist. I don't know. I'm having a hard time. They call their friend to help investigate the disappearance. It's a psychologist or a psychiatrist, something like that. Um, I don't know why. For some reason, that word's escaping me right now. But Little Girl Lost. It's a classic episode. There's been a lot of other shows have stolen from it, and The Simpsons comes to mind in a Halloween episode. But it's just a really great Twilight Zone episode. Very surreal. Very it's kind of out there like you would expect in the Twilight Zone. A little bit of sci-fi, a little obviously fantasy, a little bit of horror too, if you think about it, especially as a parent. And the last 5 to 10 minutes of this episode is really good with the imagery and what they do with the camera and sort of this other nether world or dimension, I guess they call it. It's just a really good Twilight Zone episode. It's just one of those episodes that you would think of the Twilight Zone. That one pops into your head. So that's my honorable mention. Um, so number five favorite for me is going to be the very last episode of the season. That's The Changing of the Guard, written by Rod Serling, aired on June 1st, 1962. This is the one about the professor who's forced into retirement. He contemplates suicide, but changes his mind when the ghosts of his former students that were killed in war persuade him of his worth. This is just, I mean, anytime you get Donald Pleasance in anything, you always right off the bat, it's going to be good quality there from an acting standpoint. And this is definitely no different, but it's a heavy episode, but it has a really good ending, a very happy ending. It's just sort of a feel good episode, but still very Twilight Zoney with the ghosts visiting this professor who's really depressed and contemplating suicide. So yeah, this has got to be on my list. I've always enjoyed this episode. Just awesome. The Changing of the Guard, number five. Number four won't be a surprise to many people, other than the fact that maybe I don't have it higher, and that's episode eight, aired on November 3rd, 1961, based on a short story by Jerome Bixby, teleplayed by Rod Serling. And that, of course, is It's a Good Life. And of course, this is the one about the 6-year-old boy played by Billy Mooney, who terrorizes the residents of Peakville, Ohio, with special powers that control reality. Yeah, this is iconic. Obviously, one of the most iconic Twilight Zone episodes, one of the most iconic television episodes to ever air. Everybody knows what this is about. Countless parodies have been made about it. Again, The Simpsons comes to mind. Um, but it's just really good. The boy Billy Mooney is great in this role. He doesn't it's he's really good, does a really good job of making you believe. All the other adult characters are really good. It's just a really creepy Twilight Zoney episode. So it's impossible not to have this on your list. Why don't I have it higher? Well, because to me there's three episodes that I like better. Sorry, it's just the way it is. So number three is an episode. It's another one of these episodes. I think there's one from every season. I tend to like it more each time that I see it. And it's very relevant no matter what decade you're watching it in. And that is Nothing in the Dark, episode 16, that aired on January 5th, 1962, written by George Clayton Johnson. This is the one about the elderly recluse played by Gladys Cooper, facing imminent eviction, refuses to allow anyone in her apartment, fearing that the visitor may be death incarnate. Her resolve is tested when a young police officer is seriously wounded outside her door. This is just a fantastic episode. Gladys Cooper and Robert Redford just deliver. Their acting is superb. The story is it resonates with everybody because everybody has sort of a fear of death and when the Grim Reaper comes for you, what that's going to be like. And this episode kind of takes it. It kind of gives it a more positive spin. It isn't somebody with a like a cloak and dagger kind of thing. It's just got a really nice message to it, and that you don't have to be afraid. And yeah, it's just an all time great Twilight Zone episode in my opinion. Nothing in the Dark, episode three, third favorite for season three. Um, my number two is going to be episode 10 that aired on November 17th, 1961, written by Rod Serling, and this is The Midnight Sun. This is about the landlady and her tenant. The landlady, played by Betty Gard, and her tenant Lois Nettleton struggle to survive when Earth changes its orbit, begins to move towards the sun. This is another one that's just a really well acted episode. Just um, you can really feel this episode too. It's very claustrophobic. Like there's a point towards the end of the episode that when the heat really when the heat really hits the fan, so to speak, that I actually felt hot watching it. I mean, they just do a really good job with imagery, with editing. You're in this episode, and that's what makes it so effective. That, and then it has a really good kind of turn on its head twist at the end, which initially some people might not like it because, well, I'm not going to give away the spoiler, but it's kind of it could be seen as a cheap cop out. How most of the episode is sort of explained away with the last 5 minutes of this episode, but the way they sort of explain it away, sort of uh, flipping it on its head, I think is really unique and interesting, and I loved it. I loved the ending. I love everything about this episode. The Midnight Sun's absolutely a classic that you have to check out. But of course, number one could only be one thing, and I'm sure everybody knows what that is. Episode 24 that aired on March 2nd, 1962, based on a short story by Damon Knight, teleplay by Rod Serling. And that, of course, is To Serve Man. Representatives of a 9 foot tall alien race, led by Richard Keel, come to Earth and offer mankind cures for all earthly ills. And of course, if you haven't seen this episode, it has one of the great twists in not only the Twilight Zone, but really any show that I can think of on television. This is what the Twilight Zone is all about. This episode embodies the Twilight Zone, To Serve Man, because it's, you have the Twilight Zone tended to do a lot of aliens from outer space and, people, other life forms and stuff. They did a lot of episodes on that, especially because it was the 60s. And the way this episode just kind of turns everything on its head, and you just got to watch. I don't want to give too much away, but Richard Keel is great. I mean, he really fits the role of the alien. And I also like the way that it's sort of narrated by one of the main, I guess he's the main guy, the main character. He starts out the episode and then he ends it with a really creepy and effective look at the camera, so to speak. It's just everybody knows To Serve Man. If you don't know, if you haven't seen it, what have you been doing with your life? Definitely the best episode of season three in my opinion, To Serve Man. So that's pretty much it, guys, for season three of the Twilight Zone. That's my summary and my wrap up. We're halfway through. The first three seasons are in. We've got two more seasons to go over, and then my final video, which will be on the overall series, top 10, bottom five, and I'll probably do a most overrated and underrated as I see it for the entire series. Too. So thank you for watching this video. Hit the like button and hit the little notification bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. And make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my great content as it relates to the Twilight Zone or any of my upcoming horror movie reviews or horror content. So thank you for watching. Have a great day. Stay scared. Bye.